Steve looked to the left, then he looked to the right. He looked all around him. He didn't see what he was looking for, so he patted his pockets and, feeling nothing but his wallet, decided to put his hands inside his pockets. And once again, he only found his wallet and a coin, but he didn't find what he was looking for, which meant that the money Steve was going to get and was planning to get right now, he wasn't going to be able to. So, as panic came across his face, he started to run back to his house as fast as he could, all the while looking for what he needed to find. Welcome to Steadfast Light, where I tell stories of miracles, courage, and quiet, unwavering faith. If that's of interest to you, then please subscribe and remember to send the like button a box of chocolates just because, to express your love. And if you have a story you'd like to have featured on our channel of a tender mercy or a miracle that you've been a part of or that you've heard about, please fill out the form in the comments below. All right, let's get into today's story. In May 2011, Steve woke up and got ready for the day. Then he hopped in the car and his mom drove him to school. Steve was about to begin one of his very last days of school in his senior year, and he was ready for it. Not only was he looking forward to the school day because of what the lunchtime hour would bring, he was also looking forward to just being done with school and getting paid for the work he would do there. As the day progressed, Steve was sitting in class right before lunch and he heard his stomach rumble. Steve looked up at the clock and saw that it was about to be time for lunch, and he looked up at his teacher, still teaching, not slowing down, going right to the bell. Soon, the bell rang, and Steve could hear the noise of students packing up their materials, folding their notebooks, zipping their backpacks, and standing up, shuffling out of the room. Steve quickly put his stuff into his backpack and then picked up his bag and ran out of the room as fast as he could, and then he proceeded through the very crowded hallway, turning and tucking in to get through the crowd so that he could get to the lunch room as soon as possible. As Steve got to the cafeteria, he could see the lunch line already forming, lining up outside the door as students got ready to pass their ID cards and select what they want for lunch. Steve walked around the lunch line and straight into the kitchen, where he picked up a tray and proceeded to go down the lunch line getting the items that he wanted to eat. And then he walked out of the kitchen area into the cafeteria, sat down at a brown table, and he began to eat. Shortly after, Steve's friends found him and sat down next to him, and a conversation started about the week and about what they would be doing for the summer. After Steve finished eating, he said goodbye to his friends, got up and put his tray over by the trash cans where they go, and then he walked back into the kitchen with his backpack, past the counters where food was being served, and put his backpack down near the office. And then he washed his hands, he put gloves on, a hairnet, and then he walked in the kitchen to the dishwasher room, grabbed the spraying nozzle, and began spraying the trays. You see, Steve, while he was a student at the school, also had a job during his lunch hour. He was a cafeteria aide, and his job was to clean the trays and other dishes that would come through. Steve sprayed off about 20 trays, stacked them into the plastic container, and then pushed that container through the very hot steam dishwasher, and pressing the steam dishwasher cover down, the cycle started, and Steve went back to the sprayer and sprayed off about 20 trays. After Steve pushed the next set through, he got some pans and washed them, and the cycle continued until the end of the lunch hour. This pattern of Steve working in the cafeteria during the lunch hour and getting his checks on Friday continued all year. A couple weeks later, it was Friday, school was out, Steve was expecting another check in the mail. He left his house, closed the door, walked to the mail, opened the mailbox, and reached inside and pulled the mail out, and flipping through the different letters, he saw a check on it with his name from the school. He knew this would be his last check because summer was over, he was graduated, and he was going to move on to other work. His last check from the school, and he had something special planned with it. He wanted to do something fun. And so Steve slid the check into his pocket and then went and dropped the rest of the mail off at the house. And he told his mom that he was going to go walk down to the bank. Most people maybe don't walk to the bank, but the bank was only about a half a mile from Steve's house, down this windy hill, across a road, and then the bank was right there in a shopping center. Steve had walked the route many times, and he had taken his money many times and done the signing of the check and cashing it there at the bank plenty of times. So he knew the route, he knew what to do, and he said goodbye to his family, and then he started walking over to the bank. As he approached a quarter of a mile away from the bank, he could see it. He reached his hands into his pocket just to make sure the check was there. He didn't feel anything, so he searched his back pockets and didn't feel anything, thinking that it could be somewhere else, and he turned in a circle and looked around him. He didn't see the check. Panic started to set in on his face, and he looked around behind him up the hill. He didn't see any glints of paper or glints of white. Maybe someone picked it up. Maybe it blew away. He turned as quickly as he could, and he started running back the way he came, looking left and right, all the while for any glint of white, any glint of paper. After walking back for about 5 minutes and not finding anything, Steve got worried he wouldn't find it. As he was worrying, he remembered that he could pray and ask God for help to help him find things. And as he thought of this thought, he thought back to an experience he had when he was 10 years old. When Steve was 10, he was really into these biking gloves. If you've ever seen biking gloves, they typically, at least these kind that he had, don't have the fingers, so they're cut off at the first knuckle, after the first knuckle, and they have a Velcro strap that will go around your wrist. Steve had this pair of biking gloves that he loved. He wore them all the time, even when he was just doing regular indoor activities, not biking. One day, unfortunately, Steve lost his favorite pair of biking gloves. And so he searched his house all over, every single room, multiple times. And he couldn't find them. He went outside, searched in the backyard, searched in the garage, searched in the front yard, anywhere he maybe would have gone where the gloves might be. But he couldn't find them. And then when he couldn't find them, Steve decided when he was 10 years old to go ahead and say a prayer. So he knelt down and he prayed, asking Heavenly Father to help him find his favorite pair of gloves. After he ended the prayer, he got up and felt like he should go look in the laundry room. Steve thought to himself, well, I've already been in the laundry room. I've looked in it a couple of times. But he went anyways into the laundry room where he felt he should look. And as he walked in, he looked around and then looked on top of the washer and dryer. And there, on top of the washer, was his favorite pair of gloves. He grabbed them and put them on and said a prayer of thanks, thanking Heavenly Father. Fast forward to 2011, and Steve is walking up this hill looking for his lost check. He remembers that experience of losing the gloves and then finding them. And he decides to pray, to ask Heavenly Father to help him find this last check. So he does, he prays. He continues walking back to his house, looking all the while. As he could see his house in the distance, he looked down and there was a slip of paper on the ground. Not getting his hopes up too much because he didn't want it to be the wrong thing, Steve reached down and grabbed the paper, turned it over, and looked at it, and on the front was the school's name and Steve's name. He had found his check. Heavenly Father helped him find the check. Steve held the check and kept it in his hand and walked all the way back to the bank, never letting go of the check until he was inside the bank and could sign it and cash it. This was a small tender mercy for him, but it meant a lot that God cared about his check and his money and his life. That's going to do it, guys. Thanks for listening. And if you're a fan of miracles, courage, and quiet, unwavering faith, please subscribe. And remember to send the like button a box of chocolates just because, to show your love. Let us know in the comments if you got anything out of today's story, and if you have a story that you would like to be featured on this channel, please fill out the form in the comments below, and we'd be happy to feature it. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.